friends, Patty Clark here again. I thought it would be nice if we could do a 30-minute, little bit more yin practice today. During this time of quarantine, I think we've all had the opportunity to be alone with ourselves more. And I think that this is so very important. I don't even think that I know it. And all the ancient wisdom traditions speak of this. And so I think a yin practice not only helps us to expand and be more comfortable in the denser areas of our body, like our hips and our backs and our shoulders, but also our minds. And to allow ourselves to cultivate that presence so that we can allow for the interception of that which is most meaningful in our life, and to craft that and cultivate that to increase our sense of well-being and purpose here on this planet. I've been fortunate enough during this time to take an online class with Dr. Laurie Santos from Yale University, and the class is on the science of well-being and happiness. And one of the things through her research that she's found, and this keeps showing up in other people's research too, so it's really caught my heart, is that people that have the happiest lives do things in their life that have meaning and they're in service to other people. And so I think we often ask, well, what does it mean for me? What does it mean? You know, what kind of service should I be in? What really has meaning in my life? And I think a lot of times what we do is we go up here to try to calculate that. But really, it comes from here, and it comes from those times of quietude where we can really, really tap that inner knowing. And when you're practicing, as we know, it might not show up right then, but we're planting the seeds. We're sitting comfortably, not anxiously, within that question. And when we can do so, we can attract those answers. So let's get started. We're going to be into the hips a lot, and then we'll get into the upper back towards the end. So the tenets of this practice are to come into a pose, into a shape that you can tolerate. It's not aggressive, but there's sensation going on where you feel a stretch and opening, and then we stay in the pose without fidgeting for a couple minutes, and we allow for that opening, and we take a breath into that, and just allow ourselves, if you can, to create space around our thoughts, and just that spaciousness by being present and allowing for that. I'll be talking a lot more in the beginning as I am now, but as we go on, I'll get quieter. So let's begin just right off the bat in the first pose, and we can cultivate our breath and some of these tools there. Go ahead, if you want to use a mat, that's fine. The other thing that's helpful to have is if you have a blanket. I'm using a bolster, and this will be more or less for the final pose, but if you have like a rectangular cushion from your couch, or even a square cushion would work fine. This is going to go behind the upper back later on. My sound quality, I realize it's not great in this room. There's a lot of echoing, but hopefully the visuals and the basic cues I give you will allow for you to hear. Let's get a little music going on here. All right. So we're going to take a seat, and we're going to draw the left heel in and extend the right leg out. The toes are pointing up, not forcefully, it's just relaxed. As I check in with my left knee, if I feel discomfort in this joint, blanket nicely padded there will help to provide support, and you can take that any height that you need. Okay? If I find that I'm just really uncomfortable and I'm rounding back and things are tight, just put a bend in the knee so you can sit up a little taller. So any amount of bend in that knee, and then just relax. Toe joints, ankle, knee. Let's start a little yang leg, a little more active. So inhale, lengthen through the spine. And then as I exhale, I'm just going to begin to drape the right side body over my right leg. And that includes my head, my ear. Just going to let it hang out. And then slowly I start to breathe calmly and to a depth and length that feels relaxing and satisfying. This left arm is just relaxed. This right arm is relaxed. Left knee. And as I notice with every exhale, my torso just begins to get heavier. As I'm feeling and sensing the sensations that are opening in this left side, these intercostal muscles, the pericardium, channels, all the way up into the neck, my face relaxed, jaw relaxed. With every inhale, I feel a slight lift, a slight buoyancy as the lungs fill. And then with every exhale, a sense of dropping in, of letting go. Of settling into the respiration and sensation as it presents moment by moment, without adding my preferences, my prejudices, my interpretations. It's a simple witnessing, open-mindedly, open-heartedly. Let's give ourselves a couple more breaths here, slow and steady. On an exhale, I'm going to let my gaze just roll down, let my head hang heavy. So another important tenet is to come out of the pose really slow. I'm going to inhale, round up, feel into the release in that left side body. Now this is where the magic happens, and we just allow for the flush out. All right, more into the left hip with a sleeping swan. I'm just going to bend the right knee, place it behind. I'm going to try to find my right sit bone a little bit. Doesn't have to be down completely. Again, an inhale just for some extension through the spine. Now as I exhale, I'm going to begin to fold forward. Now as I'm calming into the slowly feeling sensation, if I can tolerate more, go to the right. Remember, we're going to be here for a couple minutes, so choose wisely. If the sensation is too great, I'm going to go over to the left. Now maybe you're up like this. If you are, just relax your elbows. You can even take the bolster and support yourself. Let's give it a couple more breaths to find that shape. No hurry. Pad the left knee if it's feeling like it needs support. Relaxing the right ankle, the toes, the right leg, the left leg. Then I'm going to drop in on an inhale, big inhale. Exhale, let it go for another minute and a half. Staying in the pose, you'll notice the mind at different times through your practice will usher in various thoughts. It doesn't like to be silenced. It's not comfortable being silenced. But we know that within the spaciousness, this is where the rewiring is done. This is where the neurotransmitters shift and change. New pathways are formed. We start to realize our fullest potential. And it's one, as quantum physics and our teacher Deepak Chopra tells us, it's one of infinite potential. Staying present, openly, use the breath. A couple more here. Slowly beginning to support myself as I come out of the pose. Just enough to come into the front of the right hip now. We're going to position ourselves on our left side. If you don't have saddle and you want to do it, help yourself. Otherwise, let me cue you here with a more grounded, I think more comfortable format. So as I rest on my left side, I'm just going to support my head for now. I'm going to bend the right knee, reach back to the top of the foot. Now, if you can't reach, you can use a strap. And I'm going to begin to draw this back. So I want to access this area, which can be very tight. We have meridians that run up through this area. Right. Keep the knee at the same level as the hip. Not like that, not like that. You're going to get the maximum benefit this way. Left knee can stay bent unless you want to lengthen it out. Remember, nothing forceful here, but certainly asserting. Comforting. Right shoulder rolls back as I draw that right heel in towards my right sits bone. So more active in this pose as I'm using my hand and my arm. But then using those exhales to soften, to sweeten around any tension or tightness. The eyes can soften or shut. The jaw and tongue relax. The breath moving calmly through the lungs. Scoping out areas in the body where you might be engaging that you don't need to. Use just what you need to stay here, no more, no less. Let's give it 5 more breaths. Good. So I want to flush out that right knee joint. And one thing that I've found through the years that I've been teaching and practicing is there's a common denominator between people with knee issues is that they have really tight quadriceps and the front of the hip flexor. So this is really good for the knee joint, although it might feel kind of tight. Now I'm going to bend the left knee for support. I just want to flush this out by extending this leg out. Hold on to the bottom of your foot or just hold on to your calf, take it out. Just a nice stretch. So as I lower that leg down, I'm going to help myself up. I'm going to slowly start to move to the other side. Left leg extends. Right heel drawn in. Check that knee joint. Does it need some love? Well, then listen to it. We learn to love ourselves, accept ourselves, and give to ourselves, and support ourselves. And then it just ripples out more freely to those in our lives. And again, if there's a real discomfort here, bend the knee. You can do this like this. Inhale for some length before you begin to just drape the left side body down. If you begin to roll forward, just use your left hand a little bit to help that right shoulder roll back. And the left ear hangs heavy towards my left shoulder. And then scanning the inner landscape to just see if I might be tensing up somewhere where I don't need to, and softening by just shining that awareness inwardly. The mind freely riding the rhythms of breath. Acknowledging sensation, honestly and openly. Pockets of stillness, spaciousness around the thoughts, between the thoughts. And exhaling, head rolls down, heavy, heavy head. Inhaling, helping myself up, my left hand plants to help. Oh, just that savoring, that sweet release. The blood, the lymph, the spinal fluid, the metaphysical energy comes pouring through. Into the liver and gallbladder area, the detox. All right, so sleeping swan, left heel behind. Take it back any amount, okay? You take it back too far and you're like, oh, it doesn't need to be that far back. In-breath for some length. Then beginning that journey forward. Tolerate more sensation. Less. Take a few more breaths, find your place. Pad the knee joints if they need protection. Breath, sensation. Sit with it openly. Look for the gaps between these things where there's just pure integration into all that ever was and wherever will be. Present moment, purity and clarity. Let it be. Slowly beginning our ascent up enough so we can come into the left hip flexor. So I'm just going to begin to lay onto my right side. Use any props that you want for your head. Whatever might feel good. Left knee draws back, use your strap if you need it. Knee joint level with the hip joint. Right knee can stay bent for extra support or lengthen it out comfortably without locking anything. Find some comfort for your neck and head. Then gently draw that heel back towards your left sits bone. The left shoulder rolls back, so we're opening through this area as well. Releasing, draining the lymphatic system through the breast tissue up into the neck. Breathe. As my exhales grow smooth and long, I know they have a direct connection to the parasympathetic nervous system, which triggers a relaxation response. All the other systems in my body come into balance through the respiratory function. Good. All right. So I'm just going to bend the right knee for some additional support so I can flush out that left hip, get the knee joint, extending this leg up. Just a little stretch, nothing fancy. Good. We'll release as we begin to roll now onto the front of our body so we can take the Sphinx. Kind of in here. All right, so elbows under the shoulder, palms down. And then just want to make sure I'm not holding any tension in my backside. All right, all the way down, so a little wiggle to the knee joints, the ankles, the toes. Now, if this compression in the thoracic lumbar area feels like sharp electrical, dull aching, usually good to go. Too much though, feel free to walk your elbows out. And this is just a really nice alternative. Or walk the elbows out. If you can really tolerate more sensation, you can rest your forearms up on your bolster or your cushion, or come into seals. So my hands would be wider apart. I'm not really using my arms more like a kickstand. You know, they're there, but then I'm just kind of sinking in. Taking my neck and head at a natural expression in the rest of my spine. So find a position that works for you. If you're on your elbows, if you fully engage, chest moves away. If you totally disengage, moves like that. Go about 50%. And breathe. Feel your beautiful belly moving into the earth with every inhale. Notice how the respiratory system shifts and changes the expression of sensation. Big inhale. We're going to flush out in child's pose. So as you walk your hands back, just feel into the transition of how this feels into the lower back, lifting up. Okay, so knees are going to be fairly wide, big toes touch. As I take my hips to my heels, if I feel the knee joints are just really excruciating here, take a blanket or even a towel and stuff it behind the knee joints or whatever knee joint's bothering you, and that'll give you some cushioning, or under the knees for cushioning. And if that's just not working, lay on your stomach and turn your head to the side. Forearms, forehead, whatever works. A couple more breaths to find a shape that you can just be. And then breathe. Attempt to breathe into the lowest part of the back of the lung. Stay in your pose. So as you do so, the diaphragm gently draws down on the lumbar spine area, and this deep breathing into this area just helps to massage the lower back. The organs fall away from the spine and allow themselves to fully release. A little compression in the lower organs for some massaging. If your head is turned in one direction or the other, go ahead and turn it in the opposite direction now. Another minute or so. Okay, let's begin that slow movement upward. Maybe a little cat and cow to just flush out the spine, rounding, undulating. I want to come into the hamstrings next. Just a couple more poses. Sit on a hip, draw your legs around. You could use a bolster here, perhaps. So lengthening the legs out. Again, if you're just really rounded and uncomfortable, the knees will bend. The feet neutral. Inhaling. Then we're going to exhale and just begin to drape the torso. Again, if you have a lot of torque in the back, the knees will bend and you'll be more like this. Otherwise, extending any amount, bend a little bit. Certainly don't lock them. Feet are relaxed. Now, a nice option too is to place a bolster not on the joint, so like not on the knee joint, but above or below. And you can just kind of hang out here. So let's give it another breath or two to find that shape. Relaxing the shoulders and the elbows and the neck. All the way down through the toes. Invite the breath into the back of the heart. On the exhales, try to allow for release. Take another full breath. Engage the core on the exhale. And try to round up one vertebrae at a time. Let the head be heavy till the very end. Better than an ice cream sundae. Yeah, kind of. All right, you guys, we're going to move into one more pose before Shavasana, and this is just going to help us to open up through the upper back, reverse from this forward folding. So here's where you could use your bolster or your pillow. You can have my blanket nearby too. All right. So sit so that you're pretty close to it and bend the knees so you're supporting yourself so you can come back. Now if you find where this is hitting you is uncomfortable, it can even be moved further away. So it's more hitting right at the lower ribs. So sort of find a place, again, take your time. And as you begin to recline, if you notice, oh my gosh, the chin is jutting way up and that's just super uncomfortable, here's where the blanket would help. And then the shoulders just roll back, palms open, the elbows are bent. Now some options for the legs. You can take a reclined butterfly where you bring the soles of the feet together. You can pat underneath the thighs if this feels too much. Or just simply walk your legs out. So you'll be looking straight up. Find that shape in the next couple breaths. And then I'd like you to begin to breathe right into your heart center. Please stay in the pose as I'm coming out. I want to share a poem with you. So soft breath right into your big, beautiful open heart. This is a poem by one of my very favorite poets, David White. Sometimes if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories, who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound? You come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests, conceived of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Requests to stop what you're doing right now, and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. Questions that can make or unmake a life. Questions that have patiently waited for you. Questions that have no right to go away. Breathing into our hearts, we allow for the questions to arise. We allow ourselves to sit, to be present and open and grounded within all of the inconsistencies of who we are. We allow for the multidimensional aspects of our being to arise. And as we elevate, we can see clearly then what has most meaning in our life. How can we serve this life with most meaning? A question to be pondered our whole lives as things are always shifting and changing. Just give it a couple more breaths here in this pose. If the knees are open, we'll begin to bring them up. If they're straightened out, just flat feet. Just begin to roll off of whatever you're on. Pull it out of the way. As little movement as you need, so you can just begin to lower down into Shavasana. So put the feet some distance between them so the hips can really relax. Palms open alongside the body, a little distance away. And then go ahead and rock your head back and forth very slowly. Just melting away any tension that might exist in the jaw, the neck, the mind. As the head finds its natural balancing point, we'll draw in a deep inhale into the heart, out through the mouth, natural breath, natural, authentic you, to respectfully and honestly witness, moment by moment, without the need to engage, interact, or influence, or interpret, just simply, openly being present with yourself. Feel free to stay here for a little bit longer. Otherwise, join me as we begin to access a little deeper breath again right into the heart. The feet find their way closer together, the arms overhead, so you just enjoy a full body stretch. Inhaling. And exhaling, knees to the chest. Some space between the feet to rotate the ankles around both directions. And then on to our side. As we take a seat and we can close together. Sanjana Mudra, palms together at our heart center as we bow to ourselves and to one another. My hope is that you find true meaning in your life and that you have and allow yourself the vulnerability and the courage to pursue and to serve. Namaste, friends. Be loved.